You're here! You know the drill. Skyrim Easter eggs, unmarked locations, and environmental storytelling. New here? Buckle in, pal. I'll unstrap you at the end so you can watch my other Skyrim videos. Today, I want to take a look at a region of Skyrim that is... I was just saying I wanted to take a look at... Okay, what the fuck is that? If you're a new or returning visitor, I've got something new for you today. I have a game for you.
You wanna play a little game?
If you learned something new today, you gotta leave a like and tell me in the comments what your favorite one was. If you didn't learn anything today, you gotta leave a comment and tell me what your favorite unmarked location is that I didn't cover today. But you gotta watch to the end to play. Hjalmarch is an easily forgettable hold. Its capital, Morthal, is basically in the same boat. It really kind of fucking sucks to live here, and everyone that does wishes they didn't. You are never far away from danger in this god's forsaken swamp. I can honestly say that there wasn't a single place I visited for this video where something didn't crawl up from some evil fucking hole in the ground in an attempt to rip me asshole to earlobe. Just look at that. That's solitude up there. They named their city something that literally means being alone because there is fuck all down here. The fact that people actually live here is irrelevant. They're on a whole different level. Down here, you can't take 2 steps out your door without a fucking mud crab coming up to ruin your life and extract your eyeballs from your skull. Luckily, I splurged for the floating horse model to avoid everything on the ground. They call it a luxury, but I think it's more of a necessity. But what can we find hidden around that can give us some more insight into the state of Hjalmarch? Surely it's not all terrible out there, right? Right outside of Morthal is a burial ground. At first glance, it looks like a normal burial ruin that you might see anywhere else, but upon closer inspection, something feels off about it. Oh, hang on, sorry. If we plunge into the interior of the structure, we find what looks to be an altar and a book on necromancy close by. Well, that explains the skeleton, and the skeleton explains the dead necromancer on the table over here. I'm not sure exactly what this guy was planning here. Seems like he got a bit too big for his britches and thought he could take on Morthal with his army of skeletons held together by vague hopes and prayers. In any case, it's not hard to tell that the dead necromancer thought he was smarter and more powerful than he actually was, and his hubris caused his death. Close to Dragonbridge, we come across a merchant caravan that at first glance looks to have been attacked by robbers. The bodies of the owners have clearly met a grisly fate, and so have their horses. If we look a little closer, however, things are not as they seem. Not only do the owners still have their belongings on their corpses, the caravan they were driving is still loaded up with the valuables they were traveling with. So clearly this isn't a simple case of highway robbery gone wrong, this seems more like a crime of passion. If you look even closer, the astute will notice the arrows scattered about, and inside the horse, you could pretty easily determine the cause of death here. Across the river, someone didn't get the memo that actual detective work involves investigating the crime scene. We find an abandoned camp where clearly an adventurer had once been staying. In a journal next to a bedroll, we discover that the once occupants of this camp had been investigating the recent slayings along the roads. The journal directly states that the investigators would be following the dirt trail that led away from their campsite, as they determined this would be where whoever was killing people along the roads was hiding out.
Hello there.
Yeah, it wasn't the bear, if that's what you were thinking. The path leads up to this cave where, not far inside, we find the remains of what was likely one of the investigators from the camp below. We're gonna have to explore a bit deeper, yeah, fuck this. Find out what happens here yourself. Fine. It was the Falmer, okay? You happy? It was the fucking Falmer. Everybody loves the When I first found this, I definitely did not expect this unmarked find to be multifaceted, but it's honestly great. This one gets the medal for my favorite for Hjalmarch simply because of how it's able to tell a story from multiple points of view without a single line of spoken dialogue. And that if you're astute, you can figure out what happened basically from the get-go. In the swampy northern region of the hold, right outside the auspices of solitude, we come across the smoldering remains of a campsite where it's clear that something horrible has happened. Not only is there not a soul nearby, we find the bloody remains of what was likely one of the camp's occupants. Whatever happened here wasn't a simple murder. That's a fucking ribcage, dude. That guy blew up. An ominous aura hangs over the place, and just stepping close to the campsite fills you with a sense of dread. Something that says, I shouldn't be here. I need to leave now. and one of the tints is a restoration skill book, but I don't think any kind of restoration spell was going to protect this poor bastard from whatever happened to him. And it's a shame too, because this seems like a perfect place to hang out. Oh, for fuck's sake! Not far from there, but right underneath Solitude's extension here, there's what looks to be a hideaway stashed underneath this rock. From the looks of things, there's plenty of storage, but hardly anything in them. Was this a hideout where someone was planning to set up temporary or even permanent home? Probably not. I think it's pretty clear that this is a smuggler's den. With the proximity to the nearby shipyard and East Empire Company warehouse, this is likely where a thief has stashed away goods stolen from the company. It's hard to tell, based on the little actually stored here, if this is still in operation. Perhaps the smuggler was caught and never revealed the location of his stash. Maybe he's laying low after a big sale, which would explain the lack of actual items stashed here. It's not uncommon to find stone arches littering the landscape of Hjalmarch. They're about like any other ruin you'd come across anywhere in Skyrim, and they're probably remnants of an ancient religious practice of some sort. When we come across this set, however, we find that one of the local pagans has set up shop.
Like that? Fuck you!
Without a word, she attacks us and attempts to kill us. After cleaning up shop, we find out why she was so quick to turn hostile. In the center of a ring of candles, we find the corpse of what is likely one of the locals. It's hard to tell what kind of ritual the mage was attempting to perform, but something tells me it wasn't going to be very nice. Across the canyon that the henge is overlooking, we find a Stormcloak encampment, so perhaps we can assume that this mage was attempting to curse or even destroy the camp. Perhaps it was to place a charm on them to prepare them for battle, and the deceased elf lady was very interested in the freedom of Skyrim. Maybe it had nothing to do with the camp across the way, and there's no correlation with their proximity to one another. Regardless, something nefarious was going on here, and it's probably a good thing we put a stop to it. Out in the woods in the northern region of the Hold, you can come across some burial ruins. What I find notable about this is how we can infer that the landscape has changed over the years since the structure was built. It's half sunken, and I find it highly unlikely that it was built on top of water like this. From that, I think we can gather that the shoreline of northern Skyrim has come in over the centuries since the ruin was built. I love these little details. It's fascinating to me the amount of story and world building we can read from the world just by looking at the map and the water level. Flooding may have caused increased swampland, or perhaps there is some form of glacial melt going on to cause a rising ocean level, and we're seeing the effects of it after centuries or even thousands of years. At the base of this mountain and across a river, we find a shrine to Kinnereth hidden away on a ceremonial... Don't you fucking do it. Wow. I finally find something kinda nice. This is really peaceful. Beautiful even. Maybe this place ain't so bad after all. Oh, hello. Well, it's technically an unmarked location, even though I'd argue a hulking ton of muscle and claw barreling towards you while you explore is as good as any map marker. The bear had a whole ass mammoth to consume, and it still crossed a river to come over and fuck up my day. In comparison to the necromancer from earlier, this bear seems perfectly aware of how powerful he actually is, and definitely would have eviscerated any other person. Unfortunately for the bear, the dragonborn was the one he'd meet in the course of his rage. Also, I hate how this mammoth looks. It looks like it has tentacles. I don't like that. Close by is actually another bear cave where... What the fuck is that? Okay, I'm done here. I appreciate you watching me get brutalized by Skyrim's various hostile creatures, and here I was thinking Falkreath was the hold most associated with death. But I'd still say the main theme of all this was just that it really fucking sucks to live here. But my god, is it a testament to the hardiness and determination and grit the Nordic people have running through their blood. I might go so far as to call this the asshole of Skyrim. I really hope I'm not challenged on that going forward. Hey, I hope you liked the video. How'd you do in our game? Remember to like the video if you learned something new, and leave a comment telling me which one was your favorite. If you knew all these, tell me what a favorite of yours is that I didn't cover, and which region you'd like to see next. Remember to subscribe, as there will be more where this came from, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Seriously, what the fuck is this?